Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
I'm Leon Ferraez. I attended Atlanta BrickCon last year and got inspired to display this year. So given all the Hoth sets that were released recently, I decided to base my build off of that. I started with the exterior. So of course you have to have the AT-ATs. So I got several of the play scale ones and added them in. Everything's built on large gray base plates that you can take apart for easy transport like puzzle pieces. So I've included a large amount of snow troopers, as many as I could get my hands on. And mixed in there you'll see a couple little small snowmen joining the ranks.
Trying to disguise themselves.
Yes, works out well for the Hoth weather, but you know, Empire's had trouble recruiting recently. And then I had some turrets that at the beginning of the day lit up, but the batteries have now since died. And then the rotating turrets at the trench that the rebels used. That was probably the hardest thing I had to do because I'm not mechanically inclined. So getting those details and the mechanics to work was a challenge, but I think it turned out pretty well.
Yeah, that movement and just a little bit of light and kind of firing action adds so much to a build like this.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
We got some action over here as well. What's happening here?
We have the snow speeder wrapping up one of the AT-ATs. So it's Luke Snow Speeder from that classic scene, releasing the harpoon and wrapping it up. So I thought that was pretty fun. Mm-hmm.
And as we make our way inside, how did the kind of big barrier area come together?
So that one I actually built once and then completely tore down and rebuilt again. I wanted the trench to look pretty authentic in terms of terrain, which is rather difficult to accomplish. So originally it was built with a mix of beige, gray bricks, and white. I didn't like that color scheme, so I redid everything in just plain white bricks, and I think it turned out pretty well. So
you got to get a ton of the little detailing pieces in there to create that nice effect.
Definitely. So.
And then more details even in the side of the entryway.
Yeah, in the entryway, I definitely wanted, two sides of the large snow mountain in order to create that cave effect, but I didn't want to waste the space, so I put a few vignettes in there. Here on the left side, you can see the Bacta chamber. I see the med droid has fallen over. But that has Luke in it, and then the next scene are the snow troopers entering the facility with Darth Vader overseeing on top. Took a few creative liberties with the dark troopers up there. And on the other side of the build, which is kind of hard to get a video of, you'll have the Wampa Cave with Luke hanging upside down.
And does this door have any movement or action to it?
So the door does slide back and forth manually. I had hoped to make it mechanical, did not work, so sacrificed that. But it will slide open and close. Probably my favorite detail, and it's not one that you can easily see, is that the Millennium Falcon will fit through the doors. So it will fit, if you open them all the way, it will fit through that opening. So
you're satisfied by that. You know it works.
Yes. That was one of my goals when building this. Like, it's going to fit. So yeah.
And that takes us inside then, where you've got tons of action going on. So what all is happening in here?
This is the most fun part for me to build. So that's the Hoth hangar bay. I worked with just getting as many of the Hoth pilots as I could, and then even accumulating some other Rebel pilots. You have each hangar section with either two snow speeders or your X-Wing fighters with the mechanical bridge above them. So it was fun to do a lot of the tubing and wiring on the ground. I think that added a lot to the aesthetic of it. So, and then random crates scattered throughout.
Tons of minifigures kind of meeting and all sorts of action happening.
Yeah, some goofy details. You have another snowman hiding up under the Millennium Falcon. So, and you have some figures from across the various Hoth sets, like the solid red C-3PO. Yeah, and then you have Anakin from the Clone Wars when he visited the Hoth. He's sitting right up here on top of the bridge. So in his Hoth gear. Just fun stuff like that. So.
And how did the kind of structural elements come together here with kind of the big side of the cliff side almost here?
So the bays were kind of a challenge. I was waiting on parts that got here about 2 nights before the show. So, but I wanted to be able to build the structure and still take it apart for transport easily. So if you look at this right here, this lifts off on just basically a peg slide system. So it's pretty easy to do. These slide out as well, and then you pull the base plates apart. So that's kind of, I wanted everything to be easily transportable. That was my main goal with this mock. And it worked out well. Transport wasn't an issue. Setup took about 2 hours, so takedown will hopefully take a little less than that. So.
Yeah, there's some good pro tips for builders here because it's really nice when it's that modular and so easy to set up and take down.
You sacrifice a little detail at times, but I found that it's worth it in the end. So,
So how long did setup take you for all this? Because you still have all these minifigures and everything.
The structure portion may be an hour and a half and another 45 minutes for the minifigures. So,
That's not bad at all. Do you know how many minifigures you have in total?
I do not. That was one of the counts I wanted to do, but I think we're close to 200. So with the amount of battle packs I bought.
And then do you have an overall estimate on pieces for the whole thing at all?
No idea. I knew that question was going to be asked. No idea. Didn't keep track at any point during the process. So.
Gotcha. And when you incorporate movement into a build like this, is this something you have to kind of keep an eye on consistently throughout the day, or does that run pretty smoothly on its own?
Thankfully, it runs pretty smoothly on its own. I did a lot of work on the front end to make sure the mechanism was as simple as possible, so that there would be less chance of it failing mid-show. And I tested it for hours beforehand. So it's a pretty simple mechanism. Shout out to the Brick Consultant on Instagram. He has some great tutorials for basic Lego mechanics that I used and just scaled up for this mock. And it's worked great. I haven't had any issues with it all day.
Yeah, I love to hear builders that are able to find that kind of inspirational content online and really learn from. There's so many talented builders creating content out there.
Definitely. And a lot of this was inspiration just looking at how other people have done Hoth and seeing what I liked and what I wanted to do with that. So.
Do you have any plans to expand on Hoth in the future, or maybe go in another direction with the Star Wars scene?
I'd love to expand on it. This is like my first time doing a large-scale build, so I was kind of worn out by the end of it. But I think in the future I'd love to expand this scene. I definitely want a larger battlefield so that not all the troops and the AT-ATs are so cramped together. So.
And this show in Atlanta here is one of the newer shows that we've been to, and so it's continuing to grow. What has your experience been like here if people want to check this show out in the future?
It's been absolutely amazing. It is a great group of exhibitors here, and then just a great group of people to come and show up. I think it's growing. We were quite packed earlier today. It was hard to move about, but it's been an amazing experience. Everyone's friendly, knowledgeable on what they've built and all that. It's been great. I'd highly encourage it.
I love to hear that. Well, keep up the great work here. Can't wait to see more from you in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.